Hey there, fellow travelers. Mark here with Wolters World, and today we're here in Colonia, Uruguay. You got the Rio de la Plata behind me, and today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some things that you should know before you come here to Uruguay. Because I know I've come here before. I mean, the first time I was here was 20 years ago, and I'm back here with my family because it's a really nice place to visit. But one of the things I saw is there's not a lot of information online or guidebooks that actually help you get ready for Uruguay, and so that's what this video is about, okay? Now, if you want to talk about the main sites people see when they come here, well, Colonia is probably the most easiest visited and most visited place for a lot of tourists. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, the historic center. You can see the lighthouse and the old fort walls and the gate to the city, and there's some museums here. And this was actually a Portuguese town, okay? So you can see there's an azulejos museum, the blue tiles, the Portuguese tiles, they have that. And so you have a historic city like this, where people go to Montevideo, the capital, to see that, or they go to Punta del Esta, which is like the party beach capital of kind of like the East Coast. And there's those things, but there's more than that when you're here. There's other great beaches you can check out. You go to estancias, go out to ranches and stay out there. So there's a lot of really nice things to do when you are here. And the thing is when you're coming, people also like to know, it's like, hey Mark, what are we going to eat? You know, is it just like Argentina where you eat a lot of beef? Well, in that respect, yes, there's a lot of beef when you are here. Asado, the having a barbecue, you know, grilled beef, grilled pork, grilled chicken, grilled fish. You're going to have a lot of that when you are here, and it is really good. I will tell you though, if you like to have your steak a little juicy, they tend not to do that. You got to make sure you ask it for it juicy, okay, or rare, and not like a punto, which is like well done, because that's kind of how they like it here. So just a heads up for that. Some of the other things you want to have when you're here, aside from going out to the grill parties, is have a chivito, which is a steak sandwich. Now I know you're like, Mark, you just said you just said steak. Why aren't you talking about it again? Well, the thing is chivito, it's bread, steak, and then they put like cheese inside of ham and then cook it. Yeah, it sounds crazy, but it's so good. And then lettuce, tomato, mayonnaise, egg on it. You have that. Oh, it's so good. And you can have it without the bread and have it on top of potatoes. But that's another way to have it, chivito al plato, and it's really, really good. Also, dulce de leche, like that caramel kind of thing. It's in all kinds of really good dishes when you are here. A lot of tasty treats, a lot of candies and stuff. You will have a good time with that, okay? You will eat nicely. I do want you to know, when it comes to eating, they do tend to eat later in the evening here, so like don't be surprised if you're eating dinner at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, and the people next to you have their kids out and stuff like that. So be prepared for that, because things kind of start a little bit later, all right? And the thing is, you're gonna eat a lot of good food when you are here. You might ask, do I tip the waiter when I am here? Yes, you do tip your waiter about 10% on the bill when you are here. If you pay with your credit card, sometimes you can let them know, so you can tip that way, or you can just leave cash as well, so that's nice. And I guess that would lead me into talking about the money. Now, the money in Uruguay is the peso, okay? The Uruguayan peso, you'll see a dollar sign or a U with a dollar sign there for the prices. But the thing is in different parts of Uruguay, you can actually pay with dollars or Argentine pesos or reals and stuff like that. Though I would say the preferred foreign currency is actually the US dollar. So a lot of times what we've done is we might have paid with a credit card and then tipped in US dollars. So there is that. Now, when you want to get cash out, and you do want to have some cash for tips and stuff like that, what you have to realize is going to the ATM, I mean, there's ATMs all over the place, like in the big cities and stuff, it's not a big deal, but a lot of times they're actually in the bank. And so when they're in the bank, when the bank closes, well, then the ATM closes too. So if you're out during the day, I grab some cash during the day so you have it, so you don't have to worry about it. But if you're coming with US dollars and stuff, you'll be fine. What they'll usually do is tell you the price in pesos, and then they'll divide by 30 or whatever. They go at 29 or 32 or whatever the going exchange rate is at that time. And it's usually kind of a fair rate, so there is that. And that's one thing I think you should also know, is we look at safety and fairness and stuff, is actually Uruguay is pretty safe. I mean, it's ranked one of the safest places in South America, you know, and stuff like that. But what's cool is you don't feel like you're going to get ripped off here. Like, the people are pretty genuine with you, so that is cool. So that's nice about the people. Another thing with the people, you're going to need to have some patience when you're here. Things take a little bit longer to get things done. And you might be like, what's taking so long? Oh, nothing. It's just taking long. Just make sure you pack your patience when you do come here, okay? Now, one thing a lot of people ask me about when they travel is like, Mark, what about like Wi-Fi and stuff like that? Do they have those things here? Of course they have Wi-Fi. The internet's everywhere. And Uruguay is no different than everywhere else in the world. So hotels will have Wi-Fi for you. Cafes and restaurants will have Wi-Fi for you. Just ask for the password. They can get that for you. If you have your mobile phone you're bringing from abroad, they have 3G, 4G networks, LTE networks. So you can get your Facebook or your Instagram and stuff like that on your phone. No big deal. But I will say is make sure you talk to your provider, your phone provider, before you come to Uruguay to make sure they're covered covered in your international plan. You can buy little chips and get like a little pay-as-you-go phone and stuff like that when you come here. So that is another option for you. Now, if you want to go out and buy that chip card, if you want to go buy anything, you probably know when the times are. Usually stores are open from 9 to about 7. Sometimes they go later in the big cities and stuff like that. But what you need to know, in the middle of the day, especially in the smaller towns, there might be a little siesta, so the stores will close from like 1 to 3 or 2 to 4, something like that. So if you have to do some shopping, get it done in the morning, or just know you're going to be doing it in the evening, because there is that nice long lunch break when you are there. And also when you go out to eat, I know I didn't mention before with the food, is make sure you plan a lot of time to eat, because it does take, remember that patience part, it takes a while to get all that good food ready for you, okay? So heads up for that one. Now, another thing a lot of people ask me about, like, Mark, I'm scared to go to a place if I don't speak the language. Like, do I have to speak Spanish when I go to Uruguay, or can I get by in English? Well, what's cool is, like I said, the people here in Uruguay are pretty chill. I mean, they're really nice and really laid back. So either you don't speak Spanish, you're going to be okay. They're going to help you. But what you need to realize is you do need to know a few words in Spanish before you come here, or when you're here, even if it's just hola, which is hello, or gracias, which is thank you, or por favor, which is please, cerveza, which is beer. You want to know these things because it makes it a little bit easier, a little bit nicer when you are a tourist, just like anywhere you go. But especially if you're not going to be in like Colonia and Montevideo and Punta del Este, you'll find English menus, you'll find English stuff, because there's a lot of international tourists going there. But if you're going to an estancia, like what are the ranches out, or you're going to go into the backwoods kind of stuff, you're not going to find the English menus. You're not going to find as many people speaking English as you would in the more metropolitan area. So do have a heads up with that. And the thing is there are some really nice things you might not know about when you come here, and you want the locals to tell you. So you find out about the chivito sandwich, or that steak sandwich, or the Tannat wine. And Tannat is the local wine that's brewed here. Like Argentina's got Malbec. Here it's Tannat. And the thing is, I've never had this before. Like, I've never seen it in a grocery store. I've never seen it in a liquor store or a wine store. But it's this wonderful red wine they have here. It's smooth. Oh my God, it is good drinking. Let's put it that way. But it's also good enjoying with the meats and stuff. And the thing is, you don't have that in the U.S., or if you do, it's very, very seldom, because it's not a huge production of this kind of wine. So definitely grab some when you're here. And I would have known about that unless my Uruguayan friends I talked to before I came here said, Mark, you got to drink our wine. Where are they? I'm like, oh, of course I'll get Uruguayan. No, it's got to be Tannat. You got to have this one. I'm like, all right, I'll do that. And that's what's cool, because if you know anybody from Uruguay, or you know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that's from Uruguay or likes Uruguay, they'll be more than glad to give you a full list of things you want to have and do and eat and drink and visit when you do come here, which is really cool. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is actually when you go and you're going to stay here, you might want to be looking at different accommodations when you come here. Look, there are a lot of hotels throughout Uruguay. You'll be okay. There's also posadas, which are more like pensions and pensiones and residencias. So there's different levels of like cost. Just a hotel is probably going to be more expensive. Residencia would be a lot cheaper. There's those things. One thing you might look at is what's called a hospedajes, or hospedaje, which is actually a homestay, so you can live with a family. And I've actually done that a couple times, where I actually did that and actually helped me practice my language. So I stayed for a week, met the family, got to practice my Spanish, and that really helped out. So there are those options out there, but of course, anywhere you're going to go, make sure you read reviews, because there still is enough tourists that have come here, that have done enough reviews on different places here. You'll be okay with that. I have found the accommodation here is fine, kind of typical South American accommodation, no problem. If you want the higher end experience, they have that. If you want the cheap backpacker hostel kind of stuff, they have that as well, so there's no problem. Another thing I'd look at is, you're probably going to know, is how do I charge my devices when I'm here? What plug am I going to be using? Well, Uruguay, actually, when you're here, you'll actually see two different kinds of plugs. You'll see like the one you have in Argentina, which has the two weird kind of bent straight lines in the bottom line there. Or you'll see the three-prong Brazilian plugs. What's cool is if you have the ones that are Brazilian type of plugs, you can use the typical European plug just fine. So you don't have to go and search for like an Argentina plug or a Brazil plug. A European plug will be okay, like mainland Europe kind of stuff, so that'll be fine. Other things I'd want to say is, I know we talked about safety, but in general, like I said, it's a very safe country to go to. If you do want to call emergency, it's 911, so that's nice and easy to do, and they will help you out. So the next thing you probably want to know is, how am I going to get around Uruguay? One of the things you need to realize is this is a bus country. You're going to be taking the bus. And the thing is, there are nice buses here, and that's really cool. And so you're going to be taking it from the main bus station, different places. Tres Cruces in Montevideo is going to be your friend, okay? Because you might be based out of there and switching there a lot. The thing is, you can buy your tickets online for a lot of the lines, so it's really easy to do. I mean, I just registered like my account, and I bought my tickets for the whole family, no problem whatsoever. So it's really cool, nice and safe. You're going to be putting your bags underneath the bus when you do go. Make sure you tip the person that puts the bag underneath, like $1 or something like that. It's no big deal. You don't have to worry about it, but it's just one of the nice things you do. When you're in town, you're going to take taxis around. It's no big deal. They're not very expensive, so you do have that. I will say though, if it's like kind of like a really important connection you have, like to the airport or something like that, I would arrange for a taxi with your hotel beforehand, so you're not worrying is when they're going to show up and stuff like that. So you do have a heads up for that. Also, when you're getting around, there's a lot of cobblestones and stuff like that, so make sure you bring some good sturdy shoes when you're going to be walking around. And the thing is if you're going to come here when it's rainy season, or we're here when it's just happens to be raining, sometimes those cobblestones can be a little slick, so just have a little heads up for that one, okay? You can rent cars. There's a lot of places that'll rent cars, and some towns even rent little like moped buggies and kind of stuff, or little golf carts and stuff. You do need to have your driver's license to rent those as well, so have that kind of taken care of before you come down here. Another thing I would say, if you're going to be renting a car anywhere in South America, if you're coming from the US, there's international driver's license, then there's a special one just for South America. I would get that one at your local AAA just to be safe in case they ask for it. Not everyone does, but just in case, I would definitely have it to give people less reason to like give you trouble. So there is that. The last thing I'll talk about is when you should come here. Well, you can enjoy Uruguay all year round. We're actually here in July, okay? So this is the heart of winter, like, cold weather stuff, and we're having a nice time. But if you want to have a really good time, you want to come here in the summer. Let's be honest, okay? Whether you're going to be going up to the Playa de Diablo, or you're going to be going up to Punta del Este, or you're going to be going to any of the beaches on the coast, or the Rio de la Plata, you want to be here when it's warm. And summertime here is December, January, February, and into March. And what you need to know is prices spike at that time. Hotels book out at that time, so make sure you do book ahead if you're going to be coming in that peak season. Also, Easter week or tourism week, yeah, this place packs up during Easter week. So if you're going to come for Semana Santa, the Holy Week and stuff, make sure you're booking really far ahead, just so you make sure you get your accommodation, you get your ferries and stuff like that, because the ferries from Buenos Aires, they'll book out, okay? So make sure if you're going Buquebus or whatever, you want to make sure you're booking those beforehand, all right? And I guess I should tell you about that. When you're coming into here, you don't have a ton of international flights coming into Montevideo. A lot of them will fly into Buenos Aires, then maybe hop over to Montevideo, or you're flying into Buenos Aires and then coming over to Montevideo or Colonia. There's a ferry that goes, it's like well, they'll say it's 50 minutes online and stuff, but basically from when you actually leave to when you actually get off the ferry and out of the stations takes you about an hour and a half from Buenos Aires to here in Montevideo. It's really easy to do, it's simple to do. You can do that, and it's a nice day trip to come over here, but that's what a lot of people do to come and check out Uruguay. They go through Buenos Aires, and so you can do that. There's also, you can come in from Brazil and things like that, so it's no big deal. I found the border crossings here to be a lot more relaxed than other places I've been to, so that is kind of cool. And you do have that feel when you are here in Uruguay. This is much more of a relax, man, kind of feel here, so you will enjoy that. So I hope that helped you know a little bit more about what to know before you come to Uruguay. I know for me, looking up and trying to find research on it was a little bit more difficult than usual, because you don't have a ton of guidebooks, you don't have a ton of stuff that's focused on this small country. And the thing is, it's not a small country, it's the size of Oklahoma. It would be like a nice sized country in Europe, but here in South America with these huge countries, a lot of people kind of look past it, and I hope you won't look past it, because it is a nice place to visit, nice people, some good food, and some fantastic wine, man. Drink that Tannat wine, it is awesome. Anyway, I'll say bye from here in Colonia, Uruguay, and have a great time. Bye.